Hey everyone, and welcome to GMIHub Online. I had to find my unmute button in order for you to hear me. I'm so glad you're able to join us today. I hope you had a great week. I am your host, Cheryl Dewick, and I'm excited that today we're going to be talking about spontaneous lyric writing. And I'm excited about the guest I'm gonna introduce you to. But before I introduce you to my guest, let me introduce you to my fabulous co-host, Dale Borland. Dale. Yeah,
What?
that's
Me?
you.
Fabulous? Oh,
Yeah,
that's so
that's
nice of
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you've just joined us for the very first time on GMI Hub Online, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You'll know the next time we put a video up, and that'd be so cool. Now, also, you can also check us out on gmihub.ca. That's our website, and on there you'll find out lots about us and what we're all about. But on there's something really cool. It's like an email place that you could put your email there, and we'll be able to communicate with you. We will send you a monthly newsletter, kind of like it's called the Hub Happening, and it just went out. Cheryl has been working on this month, and it's just went out. So I'm looking forward to you guys getting that. But say you're an artist or a producer or or you're doing something and you want some people to know about it. Well, guess what? The people that are getting our Hub Happenings could hear about it. So all you got to do is let us know, give us permission, and we'll put it in the Hub Happenings, and you can be a part of what we're doing. Because really, the Hub, the GMI Hub is here to help you as an artist, or you as someone in the ministry to help move forward. So that's what we're here for, and we just want to help.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Dale. I hope you all can still hear me. Okay, good. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So awesome. Okay, so our guest, I am so thrilled that we have Andrew Russell, aka the journalist, from Caronport, Saskatchewan, joining us. Now, Andrew, I've learned a lot about Andrew. Andrew is not only freestyle rap, but he's been doing rap for a while now. In 2014, he released his debut album, and I'm just getting the name. My notes went all crazy, but he released his debut album in 2014, and it was produced by First Entry, and it was produced by Fresh IE, and I thought that was so cool because last week we had Fresh IE and 180 along with a number of artists together as we were doing an artist showcase. So how appropriate to have a protege of Fresh IE with us. Fresh, I hope you're watching and I hope you're proud. We got one of your students with us. Also, he recently released another album just in 2021, right in the middle of COVID, of all that, called I want to say First Entry again. This came
Genuine article.
Genuine article that was released just in 2021. And what's really awesome is he did some a music video right here in Toronto. We're in the Toronto, Ontario area, and he came all the way to Toronto and did his music video right here. So you have to check him out on YouTube. His handle is the journalist 306 because of the area code in that area. So Andrew, thank you so much for being with us. We're so excited to have you.
My pleasure.
Okay,
thank you for having me on.
Yes. Now, okay, go ahead. I almost want to talk about the weather though.
Don't even go there. The video that is just on YouTube is called Artisan. You want to check that out. It's going to be so cool. Just like the temperature he has to live in right now.
It's true. It's chilly here. We're in a blizzard. We're in a Saskatchewan blizzard. Usually I'd be at my studio and I just kind of have to do this from home with the things that we got. So, but yeah, Saskatchewan, it's a little colder right now. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm sure that's all going to come our way, and you'll have all the balmy weather soon.
I hope so. We're used to it out here, but yeah, it's you got to live with it, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started here now, Andrew. Not a whole lot of people may not know who you are and how you got into freestyle rapping. So talk to us. Like, how did you get into freestyle rapping?
Yeah, so I've been rapping for 26 years now. So I'm 39 and I started about grade 8 actually just writing. So before I got into rap, I love creative writing in class. I love writing stories, I love writing poems, and I always, as long as I can remember, I've listened to hip hop music. Back, for those who remember DC Talk, their first album,
Mhm.
I Love Rap Music was one of the first songs, in the early DC Talk days. And so I just love rap. I love writing. And literally one day, guys, I was just like, you know what? I think I can write a rap. And I didn't tell anybody. I kept it completely secret because I wasn't sure if I was good or not. I just worked on it, the craft privately of working on writing songs. And I would do a little freestyle. I knew what freestyle was. In my room, I'd go home after school back in the day with a cassette, hit record on the old cassette player, and just practice on my own. And then when high school
Mhm.
came around, a little guy named Eminem came out, and it was kind of cool to be the rapper, right? And so I kind of let everybody know. And from there, I got known as a rapper in my high school. Cafeteria at lunchtime was the place to be where all the activity was, right? And I would bring out my rhyme book, right? So rappers have a rhyme book where you keep all your raps, and I'd always be writing. And I'd bring out my rhyme book, and people would gather around me in a circle, and I'd just rap my latest songs out to them. And one day I forgot my rhyme book, and my buddies were like, "Well, just freestyle." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I've never freestyled in front of anybody." And the whole cafeteria, about probably 40, 50 people in there, started banging on tables, freestyle, freestyle. So of course I had to do it. All right, I had peer pressure. I had to do it, so I did it, and it was
Trial by
terrible.
fire, man. Trial by fire.
Yeah,
That's
trial
crazy.
by fire for sure, and it was bad. I actually had a friend, and people were walking away. I had a friend come up to me after, and he's like, "Dude, like, don't forget your rhyme book ever again. Like, just stick to the writing." But that actually inspired me. I remember going home that day, and I'm like, I want to do this. I want to be in the
Mm,
cafeteria one day and just spitting freestyles and be the guy who can actually do it. So that's how
yeah.
I got into it. That's how I started, and I focused on freestyle a lot from the beginning of my career all the way till now. I do writing as well, but I'm known as a freestyle rapper for sure.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Well,
awesome.
so I'm interested in what it's like as a composition in your mind, because before you
Mhm.
open your mouth to get that first word, do you have a premise or a theme or something you can lock onto to
Mhm.
get you to the next point? Like
It
talk
all
that
depends.
through.
Yeah, there's all different types of freestyle, Dale, and unless you're a freestyler, you don't understand that. So I do freestyles on TikTok live. So that is what I call interactive freestyle. So people come into my
Mm,
chat, and I use words in the chat, right? So then those are I'm going off of completely what I'm given for words. Then there's times where I go live, in a concert setting, and I'll actually get objects, random objects. I'll ask, it's called pickpocket. What's
yeah.
in your pocket? Right? And they'll pull out a mouse. And so, okay, I'll rap about a mouse or whatever, right? And then there's times where my favorite thing to do with freestyle is with worship. So actually, I've been on a couple
Mhm.
worship teams, and they'll leave space for me as the spirit leads, and then I'll just jump in and freestyle with worship, and that's a whole other level. So there's fun freestyle, there's interactive, there's worship freestyle, and then there's times where even I'm on live, and I'll just close my eyes and I'll just completely zone out and just freestyle. I'm not giving any topics, no comments, no objects, and I'm just literally just freestyling, improvised rap off the top of my head. So it all depends on what environment I'm in and what's what I've been given for ideas and thoughts or not.
And do you still have your rhyme book too? Do you still keep that going?
I don't even have one on me right now around me, but usually I still do write. I mean, most of it's on the laptop nowadays. I sometimes I put pen to paper still, but no, I still write music. Usually in the rap world, if you're a good writer, you're usually not a good freestyler, and if you're a good freestyler, you're usually not a good writer. That's kind of the way it goes. There's people that have broken that rule, I guess you'd say, or that belief. And I've really aimed to try and be both. I've really tried to be a good writer and a good freestyler, but I'd say freestyling is definitely my strength where I put a lot of time and practice.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
you just walked us through the different types of freestyling. Now, how in the world do you develop that? Like, how did you like for
Yeah.
example, when you say the pickpocket, Like someone just you pull something from your watch. Like I put something out and it's my phone. So then you just start rapping about your phone. Is that literally what you do?
Yeah. Literally how I started. When I said I began rapping on my own in my room in grade 8, I would go home and I'd read dictionaries. I'd read rhyming dictionaries and I'd read thesauruses. As nerdy as that might sound, it actually has helped me out now, right? Because I grew vocabulary.
It makes a lot of sense to me. Totally.
Right? Yeah. So and then I literally started, Cheryl, like just rapping with what's around me. I'd rap what's in my room right now, and I just start rapping about that. And then from there, I just learned to train my mind to think quick. So I actually did a game, word association game, which I'm sure we probably have heard of, right? I would stand in the middle of some friends, probably like 5, 6 friends, and they'd say a word, and then I would say what came to my mind and just completely build off of that. And that game actually trained my mind to think quick. So when you say a word, for example, Cheryl. I'll try to do this right now. I haven't done this for a while, but
Christmas.
say a word. Any word. Christmas. Okay,
Christmas.
So then I'm thinking. Okay, so then I'm thinking shopping. Then I'm thinking the mall. Then I'm thinking of traffic. Then I'm thinking of busyness. Then I'm thinking of hot chocolate. Then I'm thinking of presents. And then it just goes from Christmas to hot chocolate. Like it just the way I freestyle is I see pictures. So everything is visual for me.
Yeah.
So people always ask me, how do I do it? I'm not thinking of the rhymes. There's some freestylers that are like, I have this word and now I need to connect this word. And I do that to an extent, but mine's all pictures. When I freestyle, it's like I walk in a theater and whatever's on the screen, I see and I just share and I just go with it. And sometimes it's pretty crazy what comes to my mind.
Wow. Yeah. That is awesome. Now, the reason why this is so intriguing to me is because I know when it comes to people who write songs, like just traditional songwriters, they use different techniques in order to capture the words as well. Now, I don't know if there are songwriters that are watching right now that are actually catching this, but when you're writing, do you have pictures in your mind? And are you putting the words to those pictures the way Andrew just described? Like I said Christmas and he said he thought shopping, he thought this and this, and then he went to hot chocolate. He went from Christmas to hot chocolate, kind of idea. And he could do a whole rap on hot chocolate, Christmas hot chocolate or something like that. I mean, but how does that work for you? I'd be interesting to see that in the chat, what you would do. What you do with your songwriting. So now let's get back to you, Andrew. Now, what impact as this freestyle rapping? What has that done? Like when you compare, say, your first album to your album, the one that you just recently released. So from 2014 to the one you just released in 2021. And you've practiced all this freestyle. Would you say, would we hear, if we were hearing both albums, we'd hear a big difference between how you were back in 2014 to how you are in 2021?
Very big difference. Yeah, because I'm someone who's like, I always say this whenever I mentor young rappers or I speak in schools, practice. I rap every day. And now that I'm on TikTok and I rap on there, I will go freestyle for 5-6 hours at a time. So I have put in a lot of work. And so the gap between my writing on the first project, first entry, and genuine article is a huge gap. And everything's a gap. Like I've gotten better in flow. I've gotten better in writing. I've gotten better in clarity, in content, everything like that. Like I said, my first project was with Fresh IE. So I'm working with a 2-time Grammy nominee. So Fresh would be like, okay, he'd literally be making the beat. I'd be writing the song. We did the whole album written, produced in 10 days and completely just on the spot. Right. And so I was working with Fresh IE. Right. And so he'd be like, okay, here's the beat, here's the content. Cool, let's do it, right? But now that I've come into my own more life experiences, become a dad, been a pastor, there's been a huge progression I'm thankful for between those projects. But also with my freestyle, I've become a far better freestyler in the last year and a half because of TikTok.
Well, that makes sense because you're actually exercising a muscle and then you're getting better at it because of that. Absolutely, that makes sense.
100%. Yeah. So yeah, I work at it. I work at it a lot, and that's how I've really gotten to be, really good at it. So.
Okay.
Awesome.
So we take a little break. We're gonna throw it to commercial, but don't go away. We want you to know that we've got a compilation CD a production, a compilation of artists that we put together for this Christmas. We want to make that available to you. So just check this out.
Hey Well, guess what?
What?
Today is the day. Our GMIHub Family Christmas Volume 3 album is out.
That's right. So you have to go to GMIHub.bandcamp.com and download your album today.
Go get it.
Now. Go get it. Go.
Right there.
Download your copy today at gmihub.bandcamp.com.
And we are back. And yes, you saw a list of our sponsors. These have been very supportive organizations for GMIHub and for the Artist Showcase. So we applaud them and thank them again. We'll probably show that again later on in the show. So back to our conversation with Andrew.
Yeah.
So
I'm interested in the process that Andrew has to go through a bit more, because I think that it's good to touch on it, but for some people, they don't understand how that works. So, Andrew, how about we talk about, as a journalist, you're putting together a story, right? We talked about this, and you're trying to convey a story, and there's what I would call anchor points. I don't know what you're talking what would you call it whenever you're looking at a freestyle or you're looking at writing? There's certain things that you want to hit. So
if I'm thinking about a topic, I mean, if I'm thinking about a topic that I'm kind of thinking about, I actually started with something I learned back in elementary school in English, like word webs. So I'd write down, like I have a song, called Tempest, right? So you could put Tempest in the middle of this word web, and then I use that word association, talent that I've worked on, a skill. And I think, okay, when I think of tempest, what do I think of, right? So, okay, so I think of storms, I think of lightning, I think of thunder, I think about Jesus silencing the storm and on the boat and that whole picture. And I think of trials in life in the book of James, right? And then all of a sudden I just have this whole word web. And then from there, I kind of help form that into, okay, like where are we going to put? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where am I going to put these parts of the story?
Can I show this, Daryl?
So I do this.
We talk about a word web. You get your theme, your concept in the middle, and from that you branch out different things that convey this, that talk about that theme. So they're connecting to, and that's what he means. I'm a visual person, so I want people out there who are visual people to see what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I freestyle, that's all done in my head, right? But it's all pictures instead of words. So when someone, gives me a word or a topic or whatever, then I just go into that mode, like I said, of like walking in a movie theater and just visually seeing it. And then it just comes out off the top of my head. But it helps with songwriting. I don't know if we want to chat about that, because if I'm coming up with a song idea, I'll sometimes, the beauty of technology nowadays, I'll go on my phone, just turn on the recording app, and I'll just freestyle out ideas, right? And then sometimes I'll go back and be like, oh, this can actually be now put in and tweaked as a written song. So I haven't done that tons in the past, but I'm starting to do it more, because a lot of my friends in the rap world are like, why aren't you recording your freestyles and using them as material for your written songs? Because usually I'll just freestyle and be like, that was a one-off, it's gone now. It's like, no, you could record that, and now that is actually thought that you put out already. You've done the process. Now you just need to tweak it and edit it and put it together, right?
Exactly.
So you could do that. You could do that too.
That's very true. Yeah.
There are songwriters there are songwriters that will sit there and go, well, I'm no freestylist and I'm not a rapper. So how could I use this technique for my songwriting? I could be a rock person, or I could be country, or something. How
Yeah.
could we use this ability?
I think like it goes back to the visual side of things, like pictures, right? Like music all kind of paints a picture in a different way, whether it's a country song, a rock song, or a rap song. So I'd encourage artists to try and tap into that visual side. So like what pictures come to your mind as you already maybe have this idea for a song, a rough idea? What pictures come to your mind? And then what words kind of tie into those pictures? You have kind of a word picture web. And I think that might help songwriters to kind of bring this together to kind of paint the picture with words and pictures and then be able to put that into to lyrics, right? So I think that's one thing that any artist can do is visually, what do you see when you think of what you want to write about? And that might help, because sometimes songwriters get stuck on words, right? Because they're trying to like, what does this rhyme with, or how does this go together? But you bring in pictures into it, sometimes the words just naturally happen and flow easier. That's what I found.
Yeah.
And when you have the pictures in mind, you're spending time describing the actual pictures as opposed to trying to describe the words. Is that the idea?
Yeah, and I think your music becomes better because it's more descriptive. Like that's one thing people tell me about my music is they can just really visualize it. They feel it. And that's why I'm so excited I got out a music video now, because I've always wanted visuals that actually go with my visual music. And the song we just put out, Artists, in the music video, people are like, yo, this completely captures your song in visual form. And so, that visual tie into music, I think, can make your music way more just stick in people's minds and just be better writing, I think, too.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm just sorry, Cheryl, but the more I think about it, when you visualize something and then you describe what you're seeing, you can always articulate those visualizations in different ways. When you're working with wordsmithing and you're trying to figure those out, the words become the focus, not the image that you're trying to portray, which is interesting. So to me, you're blowing my mind right now, because I'm thinking you can describe something in different ways. But it's the same thing. Like you get four different witnesses, and they have four different things they saw.
Yeah, but perspectives, right?
So exactly. So I like the whole idea. If we get nailed down to this word processing and not look at and back up and say, okay, how can I describe this differently? Some people get stuck on they maybe say too much. Or maybe they don't say enough about something. So then they have a 10-minute song, and like, I didn't want it to be 10 minutes long. I need it to be 3.5 minutes long. How do I carve?
Challenge.
And again, I think you got a great method of where you can take it and hone it down to a visual aspect of it and talk through that image. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then when you go to actually make it, so I mean, my song Tempest is probably the best example I have of this image and this process I'm talking about. When we went to make this song in the studio, my engineer, the beat didn't have anything but just the regular beat on it. He stopped my first take and he's like, kid, this song, Andrew, everything you're talking about, the feel of it, we need to add lightning and thunder sounds. We need to make this a cinematic experience because you have visual words and this whole concept. We're going to add the sound element to it. We're going to have a movie instead of just a song. And people love that song because I think it literally draws you in, right? And people can then picture it as they listen, and it becomes just a more powerful, you want to re-listen to that because it wasn't just words. It was something deeper to it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So in a sense, through your words, you take people on a journey through the picture that's in your mind. If that makes any sense.
But the cool thing with music is then they're seeing their own pictures though, and their own experiences are tying into that, right? So you've kind of set the picture for them, what I saw, but who knows what you see when you listen to it based on your experiences or the things that you've seen or whatever, right? And that's what I love. I love that about music, because your perspective on the song Tempest might be way different than mine is. But that's the beauty of art, right?
Yeah.
It's like what comes on paper comes to life. Okay.
Exactly.
So I'm curious. I don't know if I'm jumping this a little bit, but I'm kind of wanting to go through a demo of
Okay.
what you go through, and then
Yeah.
we can talk through literally what was going on for you to do what you just did. If that makes any
Sure.
sense.
Yep. Yeah, we can do that.
So
Hold on. Let me see.
okay,
Yeah. I was just gonna see if
and
I can
just
grab a pen and paper. What's that? Go ahead.
sure.
Yeah. So
Okay.
normally when I go on a live, like I said, I see rolling comments, and I'm actually in the chat right now. So people could put words in the chat if they wanted to, and I could rap with words there. But usually what I do is if I do something like we're doing right now, I get you guys to give me 3 to 5 words. I usually do like upwards of more, but for a little demonstration. So if you guys give me, if you guys give me 3 words, and then I will put it in a acapella rap. We're not going to use a beat tonight, but so any 3
Okay.
random words, the more
Okay.
random the better. And then people in the chat, I'll try and see the words here too, okay? And I'll just go for a
Okay.
couple minutes, like probably 4 minutes or something like that.
Okay, how
I
about the
gotta
word
think of words.
quintessential?
Quintessential, okay, I got it.
Yeah, quintessential. I got lasagna.
Lasagna, okay. Yeah.
Okay. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I know, it's fun.
Okay.
Do you have
what
one,
is it?
Cheryl?
Quintessential. I still have
Quintessential
Christmas
lasagna.
in my head. I gotta think of something else.
I got tons of them, but just you got one in my head.
I mean, we can do 5 if you want, like, and plus what the chat says if they put
Okay.
in words. Those people watching, shout out everybody watching.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna throw Christmas in there. That's in my head, so I'm gonna say Christmas. Let's put that
Wow.
back in.
Okay. Christmas.
Christmas.
Back there. Okay.
Okay, do you want to do 2
This is
more?
gonna
Is do you want to do more than 3?
Yeah, let's do
He
2
wants to do
more.
2 more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do
Okay, let's see.
four-wheeling.
4-wheeling, okay.
Four-wheeling. When you go four-wheeling in your Jeep, it's four-wheeling.
Yep.
Off the dirt road.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Do you have one, Cheryl?
Okay.
No, I don't have one yet. I'm thinking.
Okay. And how about what
Light.
about Bible?
Okay.
What about
Light.
a Bible word? Light?
Bible
Okay.
word. How about
Light.
a Bible word? How about okay?
One Bible word. Give me one Bible word.
That's
Put that
salvation.
into Salvation. Okay. All right. So I got quintessential, lasagna, Christmas, 4-wheeling, light, and salvation. And then whatever else I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and I'll just go for like
All right.
4 minutes. Is that okay? Okay.
Awesome.
Just go.
Here we go. I'll freestyle right now, but talking about Christ, that is essential. He's at the middle of it because he's quintessential. The big words never trip me up because Christ is the big word. I bring the lyrics right now. I fly like a bird because on top of these rhymes, I got layers. I'm on top of it. Lyrically, I got the rhymes, but it's not cheesy like lasagna, kid. They try to talk about garlic bread on the side like they got a dinner. Now represent God even though I'm a sinner. I'm a veteran of freestyle. No, I'm not a beginner. The lyrically right now, talk about the love right here, chilling right now in the GMIHub, but I got the raps right now. Not trying to just diss this. You better go check out the new project because they rapping about Christmas. They singing too Christmas carols, all about God coming down and being in the manger. They treated him as a stranger. They tried to put him like a coat on a hanger, but he died for me, died for you too. Christmas time is why we celebrate him right there. It's coming soon, but let me tell you how I come with the raps, never just reeling. Matter of fact, I think I'm going off-road like I'm 4-wheeling. That's like an ATV or even a quad. Jesus Christ is the reason that I go hard. It's my job. I represent the one Messiah when I bring the fire with all these other rappers, man, they're really just liars, but I kill it on the mic. I bring the truth and I bring that light. He's the one way in the light every day and every night. I got the bars all across the nation. He died for me, now that's the salvation. Matter of fact, I got the rhymes and they just be testing them. Matter of fact, they keep on going like they got a misconception, but no, I'm not talking violence. We're talking about pictures inside my mind like research of neuroscience, displacement. Now never displacement. Jesus Christ is the one, even though I should have been erasing, but now they got the rhymes. Man, it's like a true celebration. That's like light. Go back to light illumination. Hear me on radio stations. I got the proper preparation. I'm rapping right now. I got the raptor. I'm a pastor and a rapper. I'm leading the sheep in the pasture like happily ever after. But this is a freestyle off the top of my mind, off the top of the flow. I represent Jesus Christ here on the GMIHub show. Let's go.
Whoa! Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome.
There you go.
Wow!
Man.
Wow!
The journalist just blew it up right here on the GMIHub online. So
Thank you, guys.
And I didn't think any of those words were going to come together like that, but that was awesome.
Yeah, the connections happen, right? We could break it down, like you said. I mean, we could talk about. I've never done that. I've never talked through my process of what just happened. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is good.
So wow. So the first thing that happened, obviously, you got.
Go ahead.
You got the 5 song. You got the 5 words. Dale, go for it.
It's just like off the top. Whenever you first took that leap, you wanted to get comfortable with the rhythm. So you started off with what word was your comfort zone?
Yeah. So I mean, I saw the word quintessential, and the thing is, to be a good freestyle rapper, like you have to be intelligent. Honestly, you have to know words, right? So you could have given me the word quintessential, and I'll be like, I have no idea what that means, but I know what quintessential means. I know it means the most important thing. But at the end of quintessential is also the word essential. So essential already rhymes with quintessential, right? Yeah, exactly. So I just tied in those 2 key things. Okay, well, who's quintessential? Jesus, right? I'm trying to remember what I said because sometimes I don't. I talked about Jesus as being the quintessential thing, right? So that's kind of the first part that came in with that. You can stop me whenever you want. Mm-hmm. That's where I started. That's cool. In my mind.
Yeah. And you kept going. You didn't have to worry about the order. I think that's something that the people have to. You did kind of look at the words as you were going. You did them in order, but you don't have to. That's another thing. Right. So it's just let the people to understand that if you're given a whole bunch of words for a freestyle, the order they come in is not as important as being put into the. Yeah. Anyway.
Right. I think I've just kind of learned that I do it in order, but yeah. You don't have to.
But doing it in order is actually more complicated because you have to frame your thought process that next lyric.
Right, because even this time I was thinking about quintessential and Christ, and I wanted to rhyme Christ with light, but light wasn't up yet, so I didn't tie it into light, and even light could have tied into Christmas and stuff too. So
that's crazy because you're thinking this while you're talking.
Yeah, wow. As you're processing it, yeah. So, that's and then amazing. We got to the word lasagna. Huh?
I was wondering how that was going to fit in.
I was so surprised with the garlic bread, and I was going, yes, man, he's got it.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though. I think, because when I think of lasagna, I think of garlic bread, right? Yeah, so then we went from quintessential being the most important thing, and then I was talking about, well, that reminds me of, well, what's the most important thing? But sometimes there's layers. Well, lasagna has layers. Right. So then I kind of talked about that idea. And then I just pictured the idea of garlic bread. And then the word dinner came to my mind. Oh, dinner, sinner. Okay, here we are, Christmas. Well, let's talk about Jesus came down and he died for us because we're sinners. Right. And then I got off track. So then I even tied in that idea. I went off track, kind of like 4-wheeling. And then I kind of actually literally took my process into I'm off the road now. But let's talk about this next word I have, which is 4-wheeling and ATV, because I know what ATV is, a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember how I got to light and salvation. And then these words, my friend Michelle, shout out to my friend Michelle in the chat who's giving me word, misconception, neuroscience, displacement, preparation. Yeah.
So, wow. I was wondering if you were getting more words as you were going along, as you were looking and reading.
Yeah, I was using
let's get that word in there.
Yeah, I was using
that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. So, and usually this is to a beat too, right?
Wow.
So usually I'll just put on a beat and it's like, okay, what kind of beat is this? What's the flow? What's the speed? All those types of things. And I usually do full songs.
Did you also jump to your rap book there at that time at one point?
No. I just had the words on a paper.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, I literally just looked down.
Guys.
Sticky note. Yeah. But one thing I'm trying to work on, though, is actually memorizing the words. So I have a really good memory, too, which I'm thankful for. So there's a rapper, the best freestyle in the world, his name is Harry Mack, in my opinion. He goes on the street, and he goes up to people and does what I just did. He gets words, right? But he doesn't write them down. He just remembers them. But I'm trying to work on that because that's tough. But for now, I either see it in the chat or I write it down. Sometimes I remember them. But that's a whole other level to a different thing of part of freestyle.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
It's a lot going on.
Well, it's just a demonstration of all the different things happening, and it's happening at quick speed. Like this is like your, people would say this is your superpower now, right? Because you can.
Yeah,
it's like
people said that. Yeah.
If I were to try and picture this in my head, if there was a if I can say, animation around you. I'll be watching you doing this, and I'm seeing swirls of the picture of lasagna and the picture of light and the picture of this, and yet it's almost like flashes, like it's like spinning, and then there's a flash of this, a flash of that. You talk about it, and then it disappears because you talk about the next thing, right?
Yeah, but the best freestyle is what I really try to work on is really unpacking that one word, because you can just jump to the next word, which I did some of that, but if the best guys, like that guy Harry Mack, I said, he unpacks one word in 3 different ways before he moves on, and then he connects it. Because that's the thing. I know a lot of people that can freestyle, but they don't connect. It's just random, right? And so the trick is, how do I connect quintessential with lasagna and Christmas and on the fly? Right. And so that's the best freestylers are like, wow, how did he connect that to that and do this? Right. So,
But you know what was the core? But even though you had all those, I'll call it random words, really what it boiled down to was what's in the core of you. Because what's core to you is Christ and your relationship with Christ, right? And how important he is to you. So I found like, even though you're throwing in lasagna and all these words, it was almost like, that's all the surface, but the core is your relationship with Christ. So really what I was hearing was, this is what the core is all about, but I can go and flower it up with all this other stuff, but it's all going to go back to the core. Right.
That's right.
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because with songwriters, I think what's important to recognize is what's at the core of who you are, because what's at the core is what's going to come out in your music, whether you're writing it or performing it. Or, you know what I mean? Like it's going to, it's that what's at the core, what's the, mathematical term would be common denominator, right? What is that thing that kind of connects everything else, right? And if you take note of that core, that is what's going to come out in your music, and that is what's going to bring it all back together again, right?
That's right.
And I think, Andrew, you basically demonstrated that. I mean, we could have thrown hockey sticks and ice cream to you, and you still would have found a way to put it all together. Why? Simply because the core of it was Jesus. And now still people would sit there and go, how are you going to put Jesus with hockey sticks? But you would probably figure out a way to do that,
Yeah. And that's what's cool, because no matter what environment I'm in, whether it's online or in person, like you're right, Cheryl, I never thought you're right. He's at the core. So I'm going to put him, he's the core of my life. And so these words are all going to flow up and go back to him, right? So that's, when you say about Jesus and hockey sticks, well, I immediately think of fighting, and then I think of spiritual warfare, and I could tie in the idea of spiritual warfare with a hockey fight, and then the spiritual battle in Canada, because Canada and hockey, right? That's where I'd go with that. Immediately, as even said that. So Jesus is at the core of everything, and it flows out. And obviously my stuff's all clean too, so people are blown away by that. I know a lot of freestylers and they don't keep their content clean and their lyrics clean. So it's even harder to not have obscenities, because those words are used as fillers. So when an artist can't think of something to freestyle with, they go to those clutch swear words, and then they fill it in and keep going and repeat, right? I don't do that, obviously, right? So it's a whole other level too of keeping it clean and focused on Christ.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and that's a bit of discipline, I think, for maybe not discipline, but it shows the heart of the person who's actually doing the rap, because there are those, not just in rap, but in every entertainment industry. I stand-up comedy, when it comes to there's certain things that it's easier for them to just not to think how just do the swear words or just be crude, it's I get that. We actually I'm excited to let people know that the GMIHub is taking part in a Christmas performance, which is coming up on the 27th of November. And I wanted you to see this little commercial before we move on. And we'll come back and we'll talk about the music, writing and composition. And we're going to talk about that after we come back.
November 27th at 6:30 p.m. Faith Gospel Tabernacle, featuring music by Andrew Martin, Cheryl Dewick, Dale Borland, Faith Amore, and Sally Campbell. See you there.
Now, guess what?
What?
Today is the day. Our GMIHub Family Christmas Volume 3 album is out.
That's right. So you have to go to GMIHub.bandcamp.com and download your album today.
Go get it.
Now. Go
Yeah.
get it. Go.
Right there.
Download your copy today at gmihub.bandcamp.com.
So go ahead and do that as soon as you can. Help support what's happening with the GMI Hub. That would be so cool. GMIHub.bandcamp.com and download that album. Plus the first two are up there as well. GMI Hub Family Christmas Volume 1 and 2. And of course this year's Volume 3. So thank you for that, and your support is really appreciated. So let's talk about the hook. When it comes to writing songs, I guess it would be the same. Yes, thank you. Subscribing, perfect. It'd be the same in rap as it is in a typical song. We're talking about finding the hook. So what is your process for that?
Yeah, for me actually, and I've talked to other songwriters, I'm kind of different. A lot of artists I've learned in my experience struggle with the hook, right? And the hook's the most important thing. Like the hook is, like you said, it's what hooks you in, right? For me, I usually start with a title, and then usually I start with a hook. And like, I know a lot of people, like I said, that put that off to the end and they're like, oh, I need this hook, but I don't know what it is. For me, I actually build my verses off of my hook, because the hook is the core of the song, and the verses kind of, I find for myself, kind of flow off of that. So that's my process. I usually don't have a problem with hook, and I think it's because I've always started, when I learned how to write songs, that I would always just begin with the hook. It doesn't always happen, but I'd say 90% of the time for me, I have a title and a hook before I have my verses.
Mm-hmm.
Except when we give you words like lasagna.
Right, yeah.
That's all bets are off. All bets are off with that.
Right. So how do I explain to somebody who's never heard that term hook? What does that mean? How would you explain what the word hook means?
Yeah, I mean, I get to speak in schools to little kids about songwriting and stuff, and that I say, okay, well, the word hook literally means what it says. It hooks you in. So it's the part that is the repetition, but it's the heart of the song, I think, right? It's the part that is going to play over in your head, but all these verses tie into this main core idea, which is the hook. So that's how I'd explain it. It's the part that that is there, kind of holding the whole song together, I'd say.
Right. Okay. So that's true. And there's different kinds of hooks, and what I mean by that is there's a vocal hook. Sometimes there's a musical hook, or there's a something in the song that repeats in a process. It could be a chord progression. It could be a certain background or a chorus that has a part on it that lays down something that make everybody go, "Wow, that was cool." So
that's right.
The hook might be something a little different. Sometimes a song can have more than one hook. So if you're at home and you're writing a song, or you're maybe you're a rap artist, or whether you're writing with an acoustic guitar, there's a certain point where you're like, it's kind of like a ringworm in your mind. It's like you're always hearing that la 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 la. I go, na, 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 na. I can't get that out of my head. That's your hook. So
that's true.
So if you're thinking about something that you say, that lyric, it grabs me, and like we're talking about a hook. If it hooks onto me, that is what you're talking about. So sometimes when you're talking about expanding on the hook, make that your focal, the grounding part of your song. That's your center of that little drawing we saw earlier, with the circle with the lines coming out. So you have as your kind of your center spoke, what do you call it, the axle of the wheel, right? So that's so
exactly. So my song Tempest, no, that's great. You're right, because it doesn't have to be exactly what I explained. It's just the thing that kind of keeps bringing you back, that is, that repeats, like you said, and that can be in various ways. For me, my song Tempest, the words that came to my mind, I'm talking about going through hard times. That's what the song's about, how God brought me through the storms of life. And so the words that came to my mind were pain, rain, and brain. And so I'm just that became my core. So like this pain, this rain, it feels relentless. These chains strain my brain, but who can prevent this? This stress, this dark, it's got me shaking fists. But your voice silences the tempest. Like that's the hook. But that's the part that punches is this pain, this rain. That's what was in my head when I first got that idea, and that became the whole core idea of there's pain when we're going through the hard times, but it's like rain falling on us, and it's like the stress of mental battle that we have kind of all tied into that too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
You got some imagery going on there. That was great.
That is,
the song's very visual. Yeah, if you guys check out that song, it's very visual. Yeah.
I do find something very interesting that when you are communicating, whether in rap or in any form, there's something different that happens. We've had people that rap before, other rap artists, and I remember one time they actually have a whole new language. Like they speak English, but they use different terminologies to say. I don't know, to say like you talk about the tempest and you're explaining the tempest is the storm and you're walking through that. Whereas they would have a whole different word that would mean the same thing. And because it's their language or their chosen word, whatever that is, that may not be common to anybody else. But how do I say that? It just sounds like a whole different language. And I find that you don't adopt that language. So that's not a bad thing, but I find it interesting.
No, depending on some things I do and some things I don't. Like it, so I mean, so the thing about hip hop is it's a culture, right? Rap is the music of the culture, and there's a language to that culture, right? So I use words like dope or ill, or there's so many words I could give you. Like I know that language, and so depending on the song, like a song like Tempest, that language doesn't fit as well. But I have other songs. Artisan has more kind of hip hop lingo on it because that song is about the heart of hip hop and the art of it. So the people that are listening to it, I want them to get that language, which they'll know, right? But a song like Tempest, I knew it was going to go beyond just like the hip hop crowd. I knew it was going to be the older people in my church were going to listen to this song. And so they know the song. They know the word tempest. I've actually had to explain the word tempest to some people. Like, what does that even mean? And I say, okay, it's a storm. It actually is a Shakespeare play called The Tempest, for example, right?
Yes.
Right.
And so it all depends on the song and what the feeling is and what language I use in that, I guess.
And the reason I'm glad you explained that, and the reason I'm glad you explained that is, again, with songwriting, it's thinking about who's going to actually be listening to that song, who is going to be your artist, your audience, I should say. Who's going to be the audience? Because it seems as though there are times when we just want to do what we do because it's what speaks to us, but it may not reach the audience that you think it's going to reach because that audience may not be you. That audience may not speak your language, or they might not be in that same culture. So I that's the reason I was bringing this up, Andrew, because I noticed that you're sharing this with us, knowing that we don't know the lingo, or we're probably not as familiar with the lingo, and yet you're able to rap in a way that makes me go, hey, I can totally dig that. I can totally get into this. I can totally embrace what you're talking about, and you're drawing me in here, right? And yet there are others that may rap and they're so gifted, but because it's their audience, I think, is, as you say, the people that are in the culture, that means I feel excluded, right? So, but I love the fact that you kind of feel both audiences, like you kind of measured out and go, like you said, grandma's going to be listening, so grandma needs to understand what I'm talking about, right?
That's right. Yeah, and I'm a person, I'm an artist who's in various worlds. So I am a pastor, I'm indigenous as well, and I'm in the rap world. So I'm thinking of those three worlds as I write. So I knew Tempest was going to be one that people in ministry were going to hear. So the older pastor friends of mine will listen to this song. So if I fill it with a bunch of, the actual term for hip hop language is ebonics. If I fill it with ebonics, they're not going to get it. And so what's the point, right? Where a song like Artisan, I'll put that stuff in there because I know that my older pastor friends probably aren't going to listen to Artisan as much as they'll listen to Tempest, right? So my worlds of influence the words that I use in my songs.
Interesting.
Right. So
yes.
I'm interested in maybe more something more arranging. Let's talk about arrangement. Whenever you do you have a structure or do you have a template that you like to go with? Most music, there's like an intro, first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, bridge. Do you have a kind of a methodology that you kind of you're kind of comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm kind of, and this is where I kind of need to work on stuff, and where I've taken more focus on freestyle, is because I've kind of gotten into the old school, like hook, verse, hook twice. Like I usually do like 3 verses on my songs, and nowadays
Mhm.
I've submitted my stuff to be critiqued, and one thing I get back is like 3 verses is done. Like you don't do 3 verses anymore. You do like a verse and a half, and maybe one hook one time. Like it's totally different than when I first started, like 26 years ago. But that's kind of been
Mhm.
my methodology. It's like the 3 verses, the repeated hook, intro, outro. That's kind of what it is. And I'm trying to learn to break out of that box that I have. And because there's so many other ways you can write songs, right? But nowadays,
Yeah,
attention
yeah,
span
absolutely.
wise, people don't listen to a 3 verse
Mhm.
song. Like even though
Mhm.
Artisan's a 3 verse song, but you're used to the 2.5, 3 minutes on Spotify quick listen now,
Yeah.
singles, right? So that's something that I'm literally trying to learn even now, even though I've been in this a long time, of working on my formatting of writing and my process, and how that lays out.
Well, yeah. I mean, with that in mind, you're right. There's a lot of they just do it because that's the way they think they'll do it, and then they have to change gears to fit with what's happening in the current music
Yeah,
scope.
the,
And
the
I
current
understand
environment. Yeah,
that. Yeah, exactly. Like the small TikTok time frame, and that's kind of what you're working in the attention span.
100%.
So that's
Yeah,
fascinating. So, do you like to come out with the chorus right on, or do you want to, or do you? Is there any
yeah.
wrong way? Like,
No, I start. So Tempest actually starts with the chorus. I wanted that song to hit like right off the bat. You knew what the song was about, and then I'm gonna unpack the story because it's very much of my personal story in that song Tempest, for example. I'm trying to think back, but like I do start with the hook a lot. I think maybe because I actually start my writing with the hook, in general, that the hook gets
right,
put at the beginning of my song because that's where my process is, which I'm just connecting this right now, actually. But yeah, so
right.
but you don't have to. I do have some
Hmm.
songs that start with the verse and stuff, but I don't know. For me, it's like you want to hook them in, like hit them with that right off the beginning, and then kind of move off of that. And then usually my songs end with the
Right.
hook as well.
Right. But I've always been taught in the recording process, it's always good to start off with the chorus because that you want to hit hard, and then you can go
Right.
back and do your first verse. You've already got
Yeah.
you have to be eventually. So some singers and their word is not as good, powerful, strong as their chorus, but they hit the chorus first and they go back to they have that energy they need to get to that point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
For
there's
sure.
a method in the
Yeah.
recording, but when you're doing it for rap, yeah, I guess there's no wrong way to do it.
No, there's
Everybody
not.
just does
No.
a
100%. And that's why I'm thankful for artists that I've talked to, and I learned their methodology and how they do it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I've never thought about that. Because I find for myself, I think as many artists, you just get caught in your own box of this is how I do it. And this is how I've always done it. And it's like, I'm thankful I have 19-year-old friends that are like, have you ever tried doing this? I'm like, no, let's try that out.
right.
So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it sounds like
that's cool.
you've seen a change and evolving with the rap scene. With
You have to. Yeah.
yeah,
I have, but in the same way, the Lord, like my lane really is classic hip hop. So like my song Artisan, you'd call it boom bap. It's that classic, it's a lot of wordplay. It's like from New York, East Coast sound. And a lot of people are like, that's old. We don't do that anymore. But I'm like, but that's what I love. And that's what I do. And
Right.
people really like it because they people like that classic hip hop too. Not everybody, but a lot of
Hmm.
people like
Hmm.
are have actually told me, messaged me, and be like, "Thanks for putting out a song that has this classic sound because it's not out anymore. Nobody makes music like this anymore."
Right.
So I'm trying to stay in
Hmm.
the lane that works for me. I do branch out, but like boom bap is my heart, and that's where I really, really love to write. Is that type of music?
You're echoing the words of a good friend of mine, Glenn Dumantel, who is a music life coach, and he says, "No, stay in your lane," and that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, and you can, Tempest is way different than Artisan. We're talking about these two songs tonight particularly, but in the same way, they both are lyrical, they're visual, they're hip hop still, but Tempest is more like an NF song, right? So if you know NF, that kind of vibe, it's the darker. Some people have been like it's a very NF-ish, where Artisan is not like that at all. So I can do it for sure, but my love is boom bap, and that's where I'm most comfortable. Just the real hip hop, lyrical, take it back to the roots of hip hop type song.
Nice, cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And probably that's coming back. Like I've been,
it is,
I've been hearing that some of the, what was old is new again kind of idea, so that's probably
like the vinyl idea, right?
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. It's coming. Yep. It's all coming back.
And so you're already ahead freestyle. Yeah, freestyle has been called like a lost art, which it is. To do like what I do is a lost art, but now it's kind of having a resurgence with things like TikTok. So I have a friend, 19-year-old, amazing rapper from BC. His name's Ben Rain. He loves old school hip hop. He knows it, and he freestyles. And he's on as much as I am on TikTok freestyling. And so this resurgence of young artists now are like really wanting to do it. But for a long time, it was kind of like a lost art. Like I heard my buddy, like Shad, if you know Shad, he loves freestyle, but he's like, it's something that isn't really done anymore. It's something that's kind of passed, in the history. But yeah.
And yet it's such an awesome skill to have, because it does help with storytelling. It does help with your lyric writing.
100%.
Right? So
yeah.
So I find that so interesting. Anyway, so if you are watching right now and you want to tap into these particular songs that Andrew's been talking about, The Tempest and I missed the other one. What was the second song?
Artisan.
The Tempest and Artisan. If you want to hear these songs, they're available on all streaming platforms. You can also check it out on YouTube. Oh, sorry, Artisan has a music video now on YouTube.
Yeah.
The handle there is Journalist306. That's Journalist306. And you can find Artisan there, and you'll be able to see that music video, which is exciting because it's in our hometown. We love it.
Yeah, which is a dream come true for sure. I was just going to give one more tip I wanted to say for anybody who wants to learn how to freestyle. Here's one really good tip. Use a random word generator. So go on Google and go random word generator, and it'll bring up the top one, usually is the one that I use. And you can make a list of 20 words, 50 words, 5 words, same syllables. And that's how I practice. So if you are really into freestyle and you want to practice, use a random word generator. So when I go live on TikTok, I've already been practicing with this. And so that's a good tip I want to give to any aspiring freestyle artists. Use a random word generator to practice.
Wow. And would that help with rhymes and all that too?
Yeah, you can put similar rhymes. You can do all different settings in there and stuff. But in general, I put 50 words and I just put a beat on and I just go.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'll just tell you something, Cheryl, he beat me to the punch, because I was just about to ask him if there's one more thing that you could wrap up and say. He went and jumped it, and I thought, perfect. Just no, exactly what
the practical stuff, right? Yeah, practical stuff.
That's
cool.
Absolutely.
Well,
guys. And I want to
go ahead, Dale.
I'm going to edit that out later. Just want to say thank you for. I just want to take the time to thank you for being with us and taking this time with us. It's been an incredible conversation. I really have enjoyed this. And the journalist, go check out his stuff, man. Go into his Facebook, his YouTube, his website,
TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah, man, he's doing live streams.
If you want to see this live on TikTok, my community is growing on there. It's called GNT, Good News Team. That's my community I've created on TikTok. And we're all about Christ still, but we freestyle in there all the time. So come on, check me on TikTok.
That's so cool. I do follow you, and there's proof.
There you
just
go.
follow you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. So if you haven't done that, go follow him. Let's also remember that he is out doing something that people need to gather around and support him. He's a pastor. He's in his ministry in a larger scope than just music. So if you have the time to pray for him, he would appreciate that. And so that's one thing I want to leave with you. And also, thank you so much for being with us. You've done an incredible job tonight. I didn't know how this was going to go, to be honest with you. It's great to have this
freestyle. You don't know how it's going to go.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for the opportunity. I'm glad that this worked out. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity and chance to talk about what I love and the craft and how I use it for ministry. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So you'll see our socials going across the bottom of the screen there, so you can check out what we're doing with the GMIHub as well. So before we go, just wanted to remind you that we have our Christmas presentation coming up November 27th. Do you have a still of that? Probably not. And we want to make sure you guys are aware of that. And it's going to be a great night, lots of singing. It's going to be lots of great music. It's going to be so much fun. And
there's one more thing, Dale. One more thing. November the 28th as well is special.
Oh.
That's the Monday. We're back on the Monday. But what we are doing November 28th and December 5th is we're going to get the artists that are featured on Volume 3 to perform their songs live. That's what we're aiming to do. So,
and we're going to be tired too.
We're going to be tired. Yes, we will be. So November 28th is usually our hybrid night, which really means we have the opportunity to be at our location in Mississauga City Baptist Church, which has opened their doors to us, and we're so thankful for them. And that gives you a chance to be part of our live audience. So that's November the 28th to see these artists, and also December 5th, which will mostly be online. It's going to be fabulous. You're going to want to tune in. But thank you so much for tuning in with us. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you, Andrew, for your demo. I think it's just totally awesome. We got to have you back again at some point in time. And we ask you to remember to like, subscribe, and come back to us again for next time. So we'll see you. Have a great week.
God bless you.
Guess what?
What?
Today is the day. Our GMIHub Family Christmas Volume 3 album is out.
That's right. So means you have to go to GMIHub.bandcamp.com and download your album today.
Go get it.
Now. Go get it. Go.
Right there.
Download your copy today at GMIHub.bandcamp.com.
November 27th at 6:30 p.m. Faith Gospel Tabernacle, featuring music by Andrew Martin, Cheryl Dewick, Dale Borland, Faith Amore, and Sally Campbell. See you there.